From Forex Traders Daily, this is your daily analysis with Ross Mullins, live from Richmond, Virginia.
Hello everyone, this is today's video analysis for February 5th, 2016. In today's video, instead of doing a singular currency pair where we're going to look for a trade opportunity, what I want to do is do an overview of each of the U.S. currency pairs as we look forward. In about 45 minutes from the recording of this video at 8:30 Eastern U.S. time, we have jobs numbers, non-farm payrolls out of the U.S., and we also have some news and data out of Canada that could also affect any Canadian currency pairs. So we have significant news coming up in about 45 minutes. So I don't have a trade call, but we can look at some heads-up things to look at prior to that news. Let's start here with the U.S. franc. Of course, over the past several months, we have been studying this uptrend channel and been trading this uptrend channel, buying on dips to support or breaks of resistance, making decent profit on the way up within this channel. Then over the past couple of days, we've seen, of course, a pretty stiff change in sentiment for the U.S. dollar, where we saw a sell-off and the market had a significant fall from all the way up here into the 1.0200 level, all the way down here into the 9900 level. Currently, 9900 holding as our barrier of support. Some interesting things around the 9900 level, 9900, of course, the 00 level, psychological price barrier there, that round handle. We have the 100 period moving average, the green line coming into my chart, just right around the 9920 level, right there into the blue shaded area. Historical support. The last time we were here, we found significant support, and that began the next leg of the uptrend. So a lot of information right around the 9900 level. Let's go ahead and zoom it in a couple of times. You can see that right there into that blue shaded area. We also have some Fibonacci sitting just at the bottom of that blue shaded area, the dashed blue line that you see there. So for the day today, it's not too hard to figure out what we're going to do. If we get positive news on U.S. data, significantly positive news, we possibly look for the bounce off of this blue shaded area at least, and at minimum, I would expect it would target back here to the pink zone. If not, a further reversal back to the green or even the yellow shaded area all the way up here. So that's the possibility on significant positive data for the U.S. Significant negative data, if it comes out at forecast or lower, then we might even look for the breakdown of 9900 and the continuation of this bearish momentum we began earlier this week, looking for it down into the low 9800s and the next orange shaded area lower here for the U.S. franc. So either a break above or below this blue shaded area, depending on how that jobs data comes out for the day today for the U.S. Moving on over to the EUR-USD, similar situation. We've been studying the downtrend channel, this black box as a range for the past several weeks. We've traded within that box, made some profit on sells at the top of that black box. Let's zoom it in a couple of times here. You can see that range. We've sold the orange shaded area multiple times, made profit on the way back down. We knew that if at some point in time it broke above that black box, we'd look for it to go higher, and that's exactly what happened. It broke above it, and we see the significant move higher. So for the day today, we're looking for our support resistance levels. If we get positive jobs data for the U.S., significantly positive jobs data, we look for continued resistance right around 112.40 to 112.80. That's the orange shaded area, where we've already found significant resistance. Our support right here is at the 111.35 to 11100, the purple shaded area. Significant job, positive news for the U.S. We look for it to break down through that purple zone and head on back down here towards the blue shaded area and our historical resistance highs that we see down here on the left. Negative news for the U.S., we probably look for the breakout back above the 112.35.80 level and possibly all the way back up here towards the 113 level. One thing we looked at in the daily trade room yesterday, the live trade room for our members, we went out here to the weekly time frame. Take a look at this. This is very interesting. This red box on the weekly time frame. We have been inside this red box, this range, basically capping out into the mid to upper 113s since 2004, early 2015. We'll just call it January 2015. For the past year, we have seen the market holding inside this red box and capping resistance. 113.70, 11400, that's the highest high. Take it back down to the 4-hour time frame. There it is, right there at that green shaded area. So very interesting. We're at the top of the range. Definitely something to watch over the next several days for the euro dollar. Moving over to the GBP USD, of course, this pair breaking out of our little black box that we had down here, a little bit of a range period of congestion, breaking to the top side and continuing the bullish pressure. Zooming in a couple of times, you can see what's been going on over the past couple of days, finding resistance, spiking all the way up here into the mid 4600s, but for the most part, holding right around 1.4600 as our resistance high at the top of the green shaded area, dipping down towards 4,500 over the past 24 hours or so. We've seen it down there in towards 4,500. So for the day today, positive news for the U.S. We likely look for the breakdown of 4,500 and the possibility of seeing it all the way back down here to the blue shaded area and the 4,385 or so level. The blue shaded area sits down here towards the bottom of the chart. Let's see if I can pull that over a little bit. So that becomes our support target if it breaks 4,500 on positive news. Negative news for the U.S., let's look for continued support at 4,500, the break of 1.4600, and we begin looking for it to begin its next leg of the rising trend for the pound dollar. Moving on over to the U.S. CAD. This one's going to be a little bit tricky because we have both Canadian and U.S. news coming up. Positive news for the U.S. typically would see this go higher, but if we get positive news out of the U.S. and Canada, it would be interesting because it might offset each other. So very interesting, maybe a little bit volatile. We have been watching in the live trade room the correlation between oil prices and the U.S. CAD over the past several days and how it has significantly been affecting this currency pair. So definitely something to watch. Long term has been an uptrend. We have seen a little bit of a change of that over the past 3 weeks. Daily time frame, there's that downtrend on the daily time frame. Let's go ahead and zoom it in a couple of times. Clearly right now this pink shaded area is your support. 1, 2, 3 days finding support above the mid 37 137s, 137 40 50 holding as our support. Again, if it holds here and we start to see reversal, possibilities of back to the orange shaded area or even this green shaded area up here becomes the next opportunity for resistance. We have seen a downtrend, so I would suspect you still want to focus your efforts in the downtrend until something really significant changes and we start to see a higher high and higher low. We might even begin looking at a trend line somewhat like this, and any break above that trend line may be our clue that we're looking for a return of the long-term uptrend. Anything underneath the pink zone, any negative news here out of the U.S., we likely look for the continuation lower. Below the 3,700 level, we could see a significant dip again for the U.S. CAD. Moving on to the U.S. yen, something we looked at yesterday in the live trade room. Of course, just like the euro dollar, the longer term weekly time frame, take a look at the red box up here. That's important as we begin to zoom in on the daily time frame or here on the weekly. Take a look at this 1650 to 1600 level, 116.00 to 116.50. Take a look at that blue shaded area, bottom of the red box. That has been in place. Let's go all the way back to the left hand side. We're looking back to November and December of 2014. 2014 since we were underneath the 116 level. So take a look at that. That's a significant barrier of support. So we take that information down to the daily time frame. There it is right down there, the blue shaded area. There's your red box that we were just looking at. So going short right now, very discouraging because it's been a multi-year going back to 2014. This has been support. And only if it breaks out underneath it, open and close underneath it, do we look for the continuation lower. Negative news out of the U.S., we might look for the breakdown of 116 and a significant fall for the U.S. yen. Any positive news, maybe we look for, once again, another rebound off of this 116 level and a turn back higher for the U.S. yen today. So significant barrier of support, 116 to 116.50 for the U.S. yen. AUD USD, again, long-term outlook. We've seen a downtrend, the triangle pattern down here that we studied over a several-week period. We saw the breakout. Take a look at this. We broke out under the triangle. We've come back underneath it to retest it. So the expectation is resistance right now for the Australian dollar. If it finds resistance, we look for the fall back down. If we get negative news for the U.S., it's possible that we look for continued clues to reversal and for this to break higher. If it gets back above that triangle and back above these last resistance highs here that you see on the weekly time frame, significant rise could be seen here. But I think for the day today, we're looking for resistance underneath the long-term trend line and the triangle pattern. Daily time frame, again, we've been discussing this in the trade room for the past few days. The possibility of that reversal. 786 fib of the last trend range is at 72.20, 886, 72.70. That's the top of the yellow zone. So we're looking at resistance and the possibility of reversal. We don't really have reversal yet, but watching for evidence and clues to that. I think probably the biggest thing is going long right now is kind of discouraging because of the pattern we saw in the weekly time frame, the Fibonacci levels of the previous downtrend. Kind of discouraging to go long at the current moment to begin with. You'd need it to go down before it goes up to begin with. So what we're looking for is clues to resistance, reversal for it to go down for a period of time, maybe long, maybe short, but watching for that reversal for the Australian dollar. Similar situation over here on the NZD USD, New Zealand dollar versus the US dollar. Long-term downtrend, weekly time frame again. Long-term downtrend, the red trend line. Zooming in a couple of times. The last time we were here, we found resistance and had a pretty decent fall. Here we are again, challenging that trend line. Again, it's not too hard to see that if we see a breakout above that red trend line, we look for a new high to be made. If it stays underneath there, we possibly look for a reversal once again to go back down. Back down to the daily, here we are right there into that same area. Fibonacci high down to low 786 is at 67.67. That's the top of the pink shaded area. The blue shaded area is where the 886 fib is. So again, just similar to the Australian dollar. Yes, we have been seeing a pretty significant rise for the New Zealand dollar, but we're at discouraging levels to go long because of the long-term downtrend, the Fibonacci levels of the previous downtrend, all of that telling us that we're likely in an area of resistance and possible reversal to go back down. So we want to be cautious about going long until or unless we see a pretty significant dip lower first. So buy low, sell high. If we're going to buy it, we want it to go down. If we're going to sell it, we are looking for clues to reversal from up here at the top for the New Zealand dollar today.
From Forex Traders Daily, this has been your daily analysis with Ross Mullins. If you would like to get Ross's analysis on all the currency pairs he's watching and all the trades he takes today, join him in his live trade room by clicking on the link below. Please leave any comments you have about today's video in the comments section below.